Okay, so I'm going to try to explain and explore a bit more depth about what I do. So, firstly, I'm a person-centred counsellor. So, the person-centred approach is a humanistic approach to psychology, and it was pioneered by Carl Rogers in the 1950s in America. And it recognises that each individual is a person of worth and worthy of dignity, and that each person has the capacity for growth and for self-direction and self-change. I work with people who have experienced or are experiencing mental and emotional distress, and so people would come into counselling if they were experiencing depression and anxiety, maybe high stress levels, and issues to do with life events or self. And what I'm doing in my work with clients is that I'm doing a lot of listening work and a lot of empathy work, and I'm checking out my understanding of the person's world from their point of view and through their eyes, really. Some feelings and experiences can be really difficult to talk about. So we can often get a sense of feelings and experiences being quite bodily felt. Things like loss, for example, initially it's quite a numbing experience. It can be quite a physical experience. And things like that can be elusive and tricky to get hold of in terms of explaining in words how we feel. What I do in sessions then is that I offer art materials to people to assist in the process of describing and explaining how they feel. This is the application of creative expressive therapy in counselling. Natalie Rogers, who is Carl Rogers' daughter, inherited the person-centred approach, and she added creatively to it. So she believed in everybody's capacity to grow and to change, but also to create as well. And she believed that part of the therapeutic process was about getting in touch with and harnessing that creative life force, that creative energy. And so she incorporated music and dance and spoken word and writing and, of course, visual art into her work with clients. She first used the term person-centred creative expressive therapies. Creative expressive therapy then is about using images and using colour and line and form to express how we feel rather than words. So we could be using a range of different art materials. We can use pastels, paints, pencil crayons, and essentially what we're doing is we are exploring and expressing something meaningful about how we feel and about our life. The images that we create will have very personal meaning. So we can use images to document our feelings and our experiences. The images that we create can be really simple, and what we're doing is we're connecting with a feeling and we're trying to express that on the page. We're exploring, really. It's quite playful, and we are finding colours and shapes and lines that have really personal meaning for us and that say something about our emotional experience. We're using our imagination and our intuitive self to transform what we feel into images. Someone may use creative expressive therapy then if they are feeling a sense of stress, a sense of being out of control, perhaps of their feelings and of their life, and they may be feeling some dissatisfaction, some frustration, and a kind of need to change something in either their situation or their self, but not quite knowing how to do that. Creative expressive therapy is a very versatile way to explore our own inner world and our own inner experience. And in transforming those emotions through the art materials, we're actually creating quite a dynamic shift in those emotions. So it's a very versatile way to express pent-up feelings, and quite often there is a dynamic shift in how we feel through the process of engaging with the art materials. And it's very relaxing, it reduces stress, it reduces pent-up emotion, and quite often we get insights from the work that we do. And those images can be very rich in meaning and in symbolism. And it kind of works similarly to how dreams work, really. Our unconscious mind kind of loves to use images and symbols. The question that people often ask me about this work is, do we need to be good at art? And the answer is definitely no. This kind of artwork and mark making is about the process and not the end product. So it's about how we feel as we're making marks on the page, and it's about channeling our feelings through the art media. So as we connect with feelings and put a brush to paper or crayon to paper, we find that we're drawn to certain shapes, and the images essentially emerge from that. And what comes out is often surprising and is often very meaningful to that person. It communicates a certain idea or a certain atmosphere. And what this does is it gives a voice to those unspoken feelings and experiences. And it sounds strange to say that it gives us a voice, but images and colours and shapes can say so much about how we feel. So I'm going to use some images here to demonstrate something about this process. So this is an image that I created during a transition phase in my life. There was a lot of change happening at that time, and this image started just as a series of lines, and it began to emerge as this doorway. And it was quite an organic process, really. And I don't think I knew that it was going to emerge as this image until I'd actually gotten into it. So this has a feeling of a door opening and something really changing in a situation. And it gave me insight, and it gave me understanding into how I felt about that process that was going on in my life. And it really helped me to process that, essentially. This is one that I painted not long after I'd heard about a sudden death. And what this picture started to emerge as was something to do with the impact of that experience. So it was almost like an explosion or an actual impact. And I started in the centre of the piece, which I often do, and worked outwards. And I began to become aware as I was painting this that the experience that I was going through was shock, and was something which had had a huge impact upon me mentally and emotionally. And working with this image and painting through those emotions, if you like, really helped me to gain understanding into what was going on, and then to accept what had happened and what was happening in myself as a result. So the other thing I do as a therapist is that I facilitate workshops in creative expressive therapy. So usually we have a theme for the workshop, and it may be an introductory theme, it may be introduction to expressive drawing, or it may be a specific theme about different aspects of life and self. So I facilitate workshops on confidence and relationship with self, should I say. And so we're exploring these different aspects through the medium of art. So what I tend to do in my workshops is that, to begin with, we'll have a discussion about the theme and about what that means to people as individuals. And I offer what that particular topic means to me, or where I'm at with that topic. And Then we do a short relaxation which focuses on breathing for a couple of minutes just to kind of relax into the process. And then I do a focusing technique which focuses on the image that we're going to create. So I'll be asking people if what you feel now had a colour, what would that colour be? If it had a shape, what would that shape be? And I ask people to be open to images that they get. And then we take some art media and we have a go at making a picture that says something about that feeling that we've connected to. And we build pictures of what we've been talking about, and what the theme is. And I often find that initially people kind of say that they don't think they're going to be able to create anything, they don't think any images are going to come to them, but I often find that people are surprised by the results and what comes out. And what we do is, when we've finished with the creative exercise, we come back into the group and we reflect on what the pictures mean to individuals. And I'm always really surprised at how fluently people talk about those images and in such detail in terms of what they represent for people. And for me, it's an absolutely fascinating process. And I love it. And it always seems to be received really well. It's such a versatile approach. And what I find is that when people are drawing or painting, that they feel empowered, and they often find solutions to personal problems that previously seemed quite unmanageable, and that the insights come to people even as they're just talking through their pictures. And it's also a really enjoyable thing to do as well.